This is the final episode of our LinkedIn for B2B growth series. So today, we are not adding another tactic. We are closing the system. And if there is one mistake I want B2B companies to stop making after this series, it is this. Stop measuring LinkedIn like a social media channel. Measure it like a go-to market system. Because likes are not pipeline. Impressions are not sales conversations. Followers are not revenue.
And that is exactly where most companies break. They finally start posting. They finally get some engagement. A few people comment. A few people view the founder profile. Maybe someone accepts a connection request. And then, nothing happens. No classification, no follow-up, no CRM update, no meeting.
And then management asks the obvious question. Is this working? And if the answer is, well, we got more visibility, that budget is going to disappear.
Exactly. Visibility is not the final KPI. Visibility is only an input. Welcome to Match B2B Insights. I'm Benny Fluman, founder of Match B2B, where we break down how B2B companies actually build growth that converts into real revenue. I'm here with Brian Newman and Daniel Weiss.
Great to be here for the finale.
Brian brings the execution angle. LinkedIn activity, SDR follow-up, outreach. Daniel brings the management angle. ROI, budget, board-level metrics. Across the last 7 episodes, we built the full LinkedIn GTM architecture. Today, we measure it. The KPIs, the ROI, and how to scale your LinkedIn engine without turning it into noise.
Let me start with a hard question. Why do companies measure LinkedIn so badly? Because it is not a new platform anymore. Companies have been using LinkedIn for years. Why are we still talking about likes and impressions in the boardroom?
Because LinkedIn looks like a social media platform, so companies measure it like social media. But in B2B, LinkedIn should not be evaluated only by social metrics. It should be evaluated by commercial movement.
The problem is that likes are easy to report. You can say, this post got 2,000 views and 80 likes. That sounds good on a Friday afternoon. But it doesn't answer the real question. Who saw it? Were they ICP? Did anyone start a conversation? Did sales get anything useful from it?
Right, if I'm sitting in a management meeting, 80 likes means absolutely nothing to me unless I understand what happened next. Did we create new conversations? Did we book meetings?
Correct. The mistake is confusing visibility with progress. Visibility matters, but only if it leads to signals. And signals matter only if they lead to action.
That's the collapse point. A founder posts something strong. A few target buyers engage. The team celebrates. But nobody owns the next step. No SDR follow-up, no CRM status, no lead classification. So the demand just burns quietly.
That is the part management rarely sees. The company thinks LinkedIn failed, but actually, the company failed to capture the signal.
To measure LinkedIn properly, we need 5 layers. Layer 1, visibility quality. Layer 2, engagement quality. Layer 3, conversation creation. Layer 4, meetings and opportunities. Layer 5, pipeline and revenue influence.
That already gives management a staged view, because not every activity immediately becomes revenue, but it should create movement.
Exactly. Let's start with layer 1, visibility quality. Not total impressions, relevant reach. For example, a CEO post gets 900 views, not viral at all, but 35 people from the target account list viewed it. 12 of them visited the founder profile. 6 accepted connection requests later that week. That is far more useful than a viral post with 10,000 views and 0 ICP movement.
Wait, 35 people from the target account list? And 6 accepted connections? If an SDR gets 6 accepted connections from target accounts in 1 week, just from a single post halo effect, that is massive. That changes the SDR's whole month.
And that is a board-level difference. Because now, 900 views isn't just a low social metric, it's direct market access to the exact accounts we are paying sales to penetrate.
Which brings us to layer 2, engagement quality. This is where teams usually just count total comments, but they don't ask what kind of engagement they got.
Exactly. A comment saying great post is not the same as a comment saying, we are dealing with this exact implementation issue in our European rollout. One is polite engagement. The other is buying pain.
European rollout implementation issue. That's a completely different signal. That's a potential $250,000 deal hiding in a comment section.
Correct. Engagement must be classified. Who engaged? Are they ICP? What pain did they reveal? Should they receive follow-up?
And layer 3 is where that classification turns into execution. Conversation creation, connection acceptance rate, reply rate, profile view to message conversion. And we have to measure by signal source. Did the conversation start because someone commented or because they attended a webinar?
That matters because different signals require different follow-up. If someone attended a webinar, the follow-up can be much more direct. The follow-up must match the signal. That is how you avoid spam.
Let's move to layer 4, meetings. Because at some point, if this is a GTM system, it has to create calendar outcomes.
But not all meetings are equal. This is where a lot of teams inflate results. They say, we booked 15 meetings this month from LinkedIn, but 5 were irrelevant, 4 were too junior, 3 had no budget, 2 were students doing research, and only 1 was real.
15 meetings and only 1 is real. That is not a pipeline engine. That is calendar noise. LinkedIn should not be optimized for more meetings. It should be optimized for better conversations.
And then layer 5, pipeline. How do we connect LinkedIn to revenue without pretending attribution is perfect?
Carefully. In B2B, attribution is rarely clean. The buyer may see a founder post, then check the company page, then attend a webinar, then receive an SDR message, then visit the website, then book a meeting 2 weeks later. LinkedIn may not always be the final source, but it may be a major trust-building influence.
So we measure influence. Deals where the buyer engaged with founder content. Deals where sales heard, I saw your webinar.
And sales has to actually document that. If the buyer says, I saw your post, and nobody records it in the CRM, management never sees the influence. Let's talk about scaling. Because once something starts working, companies make the next mistake. They do more of everything. More connection requests, more automation, and suddenly, quality collapses. The first 100 connection requests are targeted. The next 1,000 are lazy.
Exactly. Scaling does not mean increasing volume blindly. Scaling means expanding the working pattern. If founder posts about operational risk create conversations, produce more content around operational risk. If webinar follow-up converts better than cold outreach, run more webinar-based flows. Scale the pattern, not the activity.
Where does AI fit into scaling this pattern? Because AI can help scale, but it can also just generate a massive amount of generic noise.
AI should scale classification, pattern detection, and workflow, not fake expertise. AI should help us answer which post created ICP engagement, which comments revealed buying pain.
Right, AI can help SDRs prioritize. Instead of reviewing 200 engagements manually, the system can surface the 20 that actually matter.
But the founder voice must remain human. AI can structure, AI can classify, but it should not invent the point of view. The founder creates trust through judgment. AI helps the system act on that judgment at scale. Let's connect everything. At the beginning of this series, we challenged the basic assumption. LinkedIn is not a place where B2B companies should simply be active. Activity is not the goal. Commercial movement is the goal.
And movement requires a system. Profile, content, engagement, connection, follow-up, SDR, CRM, measurement.
And from management side, every part of that system needs a business reason. Otherwise, it just becomes soft marketing. If you cannot show movement, you do not have a growth system. You just have activity.
The final verdict is this. LinkedIn success is not a content problem. It is a structural alignment problem. Trust, content, targeting, SDR follow-up, CRM discipline, AI signal detection, and measurement must operate as one system.
And if someone engages and nobody follows up, that is not a LinkedIn failure. That is an execution failure.
Exactly. Companies do not lose LinkedIn demand because LinkedIn failed. They lose it because they fail to capture and convert the signals they worked so hard to create.
Burning demand in real time.
This was the final episode of our LinkedIn for B2B growth series. Across 8 episodes, we covered why most B2B companies fail on LinkedIn, how to build a weekly system, structuring the founder profile, and creating buyer tension. We also covered how the founder profile and company page work together and how founders can use LinkedIn through a focused 80-20 operating routine instead of wasting executive time. If your company is active on LinkedIn, but it is not creating enough relevant business conversations, the issue is probably not the platform. It is the system around it. At Match B2B, this is exactly what we help companies build: positioning, content, SDR follow-up, and measurement, all as one practical GTM system. If you want to build a more effective GTM system for your company, you can reach out directly. WhatsApp or call me, Benny Fluman, at 052-420-3043. Stop posting for visibility. Start building a system that turns trust into pipeline. This was Match B2B Insights. Thank you for listening to the full series.